Welcome to another episode of the Cynical Writer. Before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that the best way to support this channel is to purchase my books, and I've left some links in the description section in case you're interested. Now, why should writers write their first drafts by hand? Now, as some of you might know, that in episode 25 of the Cynical Writer, I talked about how as a child, I had very illegible handwriting, and because of that, many teachers made fun of me in school, and that treatment traumatized me in a way that many people, even today, simply don't realize. So it might seem very surprising that I, of all people, are advocating for writing by hand. But lately, I've been wanting to do something different when it comes to my writing process. My last 4 books I typed up on the computer, and so I just wanted to do something unique and different than what I have been doing. So I decided to write my current work by hand, and so far, believe it or not, things have been going very well. Because a lot of people assume that if you're writing your first draft by hand, that means you're going to show that draft to other people, but that's not true. You got to remember that your first draft is only for you. So as long as you can read your handwriting, then that's all that matters. I've always been able to read my handwriting, but many other people have struggled to. So as long as you can read your handwriting, there really shouldn't be a problem. And I've found that there are an enormous amount of benefits to writing by hand. For one, I feel that my ideas flow more smoothly when I write by hand versus when I type, because writing by hand is a slower process, so I have to concentrate, I have to think about what I'm going to say, and that allows me more time to articulate my points in a more efficient manner. So that is one of the major benefits of writing by hand. Another major benefit of writing by hand is that it makes the editorial process a lot more efficient, because when I'm transcribing my writing into the computer, I will sometimes make corrections as I'm transcribing my writing. I'll think to myself, well, that could be worded a different way. So I'll end up altering the way in which I go about transcribing. And so I think that when I'm done with my book, I'm probably going to come away with a much more polished draft than if I just typed the entire thing by hand. And another benefit of writing your first draft by hand is that you get away from technology. You get away from using computers. I don't know about you, but when I stare at my laptop for hours and hours and hours, it can give me somewhat of a headache. And as we know, studies have shown that blue light simply is not good for you. So writing by hand has given me a chance to get away from technology. And also, if you write by hand, you can take your writing in a lot of places that you can't carry a laptop. It's really difficult to carry a laptop around in stormy weather or in cold weather, whereas it's a lot easier to take a notebook outside and write with. So there are just so many benefits to writing by hand. Now, of course, one of the downsides to writing by hand is that there's no spell check. But that really shouldn't matter, though, at the end of the day, because when you write your first draft by hand, you're not trying to spell things correctly, because, again, that will be corrected when you transcribe your draft into the computer. Because even though I consider myself to have a relatively high vocabulary, I'm not the greatest speller in the world, so I often struggle to spell things correctly when I write by hand, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if my spelling is correct or not, because all of those things will be fixed when I type them into the computer. And that's something that a lot of people don't take into account, because as writers, we tend to think as we're writing that someone is looking over our shoulder, that they're sitting in judgment upon us, judging our work, but that's simply not the case. Your first draft is only for you. It's not for anyone else. So you really shouldn't worry about what other people will think of your first draft, because the first draft isn't for them. It's for you. So as long as you can read your handwriting and as long as you can decipher your spelling, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Well, I hope you enjoyed my speech for today. As I said before, if you want to support my channel, you should check out my books in the description section. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, goodbye.